Welcome to another edition of the Light Vision Project. Today I have the pleasure of hosting a chiropractor who's practiced in New York City since 1978. He's also been a board member at Life University for the past 9 years. He is proud to have a son and a daughter who actually also practice with him just off of Central Park. Our guest today, Dr. Jay Handt. Jay, welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks for being with us. So the subject matter of this module today is how lasting purpose drives your daily routine. And of course, Dr. Handt, as you know, Life University was founded on this philosophy of lasting purpose. So my first question for you today would be, describe this philosophy of lasting purpose. Describe its various parts, if you would, so that our audience can understand what it really means to live a life of lasting purpose.
Great. Lasting purpose is to give, to love, to serve out of a sense of abundance. Simple words, but they huge difference in people's lives when they decide to live it. To give, to love, to serve out of that sense of abundance, what that really means and how it drives my life is that, as Sid Williams used to say, we take care of all patients regardless of condition or financial ability to pay. We allow, being on Central Park West, which is one of the richest neighborhoods in New York City, it's so much fun to be able to take care of such a wide range of people without any limitations. And out of that sense of abundance, if you feel that you're abundant, it's very easy to give. You stop thinking of patients as dollar signs, and you actually treat them as people. Basically, since I've been in practice since 1978, we have 2, 3, and some 4th generation of chiropractic families coming in. I still have patients from when I was a doctor at the New York Chiropractic College Clinic that was on West 71st Street that is still coming in. And you talk about, giving out of abundance. Back then, they paid me $10 a visit. They still pay me $10 a visit. But then we think about the lifetime value of a patient and the number of people they've referred in. So that giving is, you can't outgive the giver. The more I found that I give of myself and of chiropractic, the greater the universe gives back to me.
Will you go a little bit deeper into that? Because it's interesting. I had a similar conversation with someone, I think earlier this morning, actually, about that, about how the universe serves us in return. And yeah, you don't choose to live a life of lasting purpose because of what it gives you. You do it because of what you can provide humanity. But in return, we know, those of us who live it know that in return, that pays huge dividends. How's that played a role in your life?
Well, if you think about the safety pin cycle in chiropractic with the brain body, and you need that cycle to be completed to have a healthy body, well, the same thing happens in that giving and receiving. As chiropractors, we tend to give a lot more than we receive because that's our nature. But as soon as you decide that you're open to the receiving, the universe opens the floodgates. And what that really does is it helps balance out or keeps that safety pin cycle going. I've never given where I haven't received tenfold. One of my favorite examples is when I first got into practice, one of my first families I ever took care of. I had a home office back then. And my mother was so thrilled that I had a family that came in, and it was a family. And she was so excited that she was counting the dollars of how much money I was making back then at $25 a visit. And I go, no, Ma, the whole family was $25. And her attitude was, how are you ever going to make a living? I said, it always comes back to me. A week later, we were supposed to be flying down to Florida for a program. And we got bumped up to first class because the plane was oversold. And they gave us 6 free seats to any place you wanted to fly in the United States. So to me, it's a perfect example of I gave openly, freely out of my heart, and the universe said, good job, here's a gift for you. So when you live this, and you have to be able to live it in the good and the bad. Like I also believe what you put out in the universe, if you put out negative stuff comes back. But when you live a life of abundance and that you're open to the universe providing, I mean, I've been doing this for almost 40 years now, and I've never had to want for anything. Whether it's patients, whether it's new patients, whether it's income, it's always been that giving, loving, and serving. And it's always come back to me of serving, giving, and being loved.
And I think what you're talking about there is this cycle of reciprocity, and I look at reciprocity as not something that you believe in, but as a natural, it's a principle, isn't it? It's a fact. It's not, you don't have to believe in reciprocity. You just choose to live reciprocity, and reciprocity occurs because it's a principle. It's a universal principle, isn't it?
Right. Well, even from a social psychology point of view, it's the law of reciprocity. When somebody gives you something, you're innately compelled to give them something back. Well, the same thing to me is the way the universe is. When you give something to someone, the universe gives it back. Where people get stuck very often is they expect it to come back from the person that they were giving to. What I do, I just expect it to come back, and I don't care how, where, and when it comes back. I just know that it's coming back to me tenfold.
And so obviously, you're talking about how lasting purpose has played a role in your life, and it would be great for you to give a couple of other examples how that has happened so that our audience truly understands the validity of this principle. And I'd love for you to also share how this principle has played a role in the lives of other people that you know. Maybe how has it impacted your children, for example, or other members of your family, or members of your practice that you've helped understand this principle?
Well, especially my kids. They grew up in a chiropractic world. They've all been adjusted since birth. They've all attended, multiple chiropractic seminars before they even thought of becoming a chiropractor. My middle son, who is not a chiropractor, most people don't even know he exists because he's not a chiropractor, but he's a photographer, and he even lives that principle. Like he would go and shoot photos of people as a gift, and other people would come and buy his photos. He would, just from his heart, take care of, feed people at a homeless shelter or whatever it was, knowing that the universe was going to give it back to him somewhere or another. In practice, like I said, having multiple generations of patients, it's being able to take care of a family and making it so affordable that 4, 5, 6, family members can come in, and then all of a sudden what happens, what does the universe do? They start referring in people. And every time I've given care to someone who couldn't afford it, more often than not, they wind up referring through people who can afford it, who had insurance or whatever it was. So the universe is, I'm always open to the universe giving back as much as I give out, actually tenfold. As a matter of fact, Dr. Harris used to say, the hole you receive from is the hole you give through. And so the bigger your heart is, the more you give, the more the universe gives back to you. So you just have to be open to receiving. And it's happened, here's one of my favorite stories. Same thing, I was in practice probably 5 or 6 years. I was taking care of this woman, and she had no money. Her and her partner were artists. They were starving. They were paying me $10 or $15 a visit for the two of them. And the partner would give us artwork. It wasn't the greatest artwork, but we accepted it. And one day, one woman said to me, she goes, if I ever get extra money, I'm gonna take care of you. And everybody hears that. I said, sure, not a problem. Don't worry about it. Well, they had moved out of the city, and something, I think it was like 20 or 22 years later, I get a check in the mail for $5,000 from this woman. And it says, thank you so much for taking care of me when I had no money. Wow. I got a small inheritance, and here's $5,000. Didn't expect it, didn't think about it, nothing. It just came back. So how open are you to that giving? How open are you to trusting the universe to take care of you? Live a life of abundance. And abundance doesn't necessarily mean money. Abundance means that you feel that everything that you want is provided for you. That's my life of abundance. So I don't find myself wanting very much, but I do find myself accepting a lot from the universe.
What a beautiful story. You said it, and I think you had told me that story a long time ago, maybe when we first met a few years back, but it actually gave me shivers again, because that's the reality of living that life, isn't it? The life of lasting purpose. So my next question, because some people may listen to this module and go, yeah, really, how do I do that? How do I even start thinking that way? Or how do I create that in my own life? what advice could you give to our listeners as to what does it take to start? Like, what ingredients must you input into your life cycle to start living a life of lasting purpose? You know, what book could they read? What could they actually do so that they can start being?
Well, I think the doing is in the action. All right. Belief is a really strong word. And I think you really have to, what belief to me is trust. And at some point, you have to trust the universe. And my trust came about, actually, I was a biophysics major. I was very analytical. And one of my first chiropractic professors, this guy, Ken Harris, he would always use the Socratic method and get me to think about chiropractic and shake my beliefs about medicine and logic and stuff, whether it came to genetics or the birth process. And we talk about meiosis, mitosis, and all these things. He goes, yeah, we know science has all these steps, but what initiates each step? What does this? And I slowly started to trust more and more in the power of the body. And once I started trusting in the power of the body and realized how great it was, I realized that power had to come from someplace. And back in the late 70s, early 80s, it was called metaphysics, when you started thinking about stuff and you created your world. Well, fast forward to today, it's not so much metaphysics as it's neuropsychology. It's Joe Dispenza and people like that are proving that thought patterns, energy you put out to the universe comes back to you, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through guided meditation, whether it's through holding a thought about someone or something. We're all energy, and so I think over time it's a stepwise process. I don't know anybody that just all of a sudden trusted, right, and all of a sudden believed in the universe. Even though it is, we still have to build that trust over time. So every time something good happens to me, I look up and go, thank you. That's the universe showing me I'm doing something right. And on the other side, every time something not so good or unresourceful happens, I'll think and go, oh, I need to change what I'm doing if I want to change what I'm creating in the universe. So I'll change my thoughts, I'll change my energy. So I think anybody that wants to do this, start with baby steps. Start thinking about all the times that the universe shows you that things work, whether it's a cut finger healed or finding $1 on the street or whatever it is, but just being appreciative that the universe is giving back to you and that power that made us and heals us is the same power that animates the universe. And we just have to accept that in that quantum field, we're all part of it.
So what I heard in simplicity from you, and you didn't use that word per se, but I believe that's what you were saying, is that one of the starting ingredients to living a life of lasting purpose is to be grateful.
Definitely grateful. If you're thankful for everything that's coming your way, and I also, Sid Williams used to use a word he made up called an anticipatorian. And basically, it's always anticipating that something good's going to happen. And Ruth Ribley, when I used to do Inner Winners with her years and years ago, one of her favorite lines, and I live it now, is I'm always in the right place at the right time with the right people to have the right things happen in my life and in the universe. And it's not lip service. I actually believe that. And I actually live it. It's all getting into this new quantum mechanics and this quantum field stuff that Dispenza is talking about, and a lot of the other neuroscientists are talking about, even like the intention experiment. Great book on your intentions play a big part in how your life works. What are you putting out? What's your intentions? So all of that goes to solidifying and strengthening my belief that I'm part of that safety pin cycle in the giving and the loving and the receiving, and the abundance is there. I never worry about where it's coming from or if I'm going to have enough or whatever. I just know it's always going to be there. So it's really learning to build that trust muscle, to build that belief muscle. And yes, starting with gratitude, saying thank you for everything that comes your way. And be appreciative of that. I think that's very, very important.
And I love the statement that you shared from Ruth Ribley. And I think that maybe another way that if someone's new to this way of thought, that they could actually use that statement as an affirmation on a daily basis, recognizing that, yes, we are always exactly where we're supposed to be. A question for you, when you first heard that, let's say from Ruth, was that something that you, with intention, put into your mind to get to that stage of your life where you started recognizing that you're always at the right place at the right time with the right people for the right reason?
No, I mean, in the beginning, it was like, oh, yeah, right, it sounds really good. And then bad things happen. I guess I'm not in the right place at the right time. But I will say, every time I look back when something didn't happen the way I thought it was supposed to happen, there was a great lesson in it. And so over time, I started realizing that there are no accidents. I was supposed to be there. That was supposed to happen. That action or whatever it was triggered a whole bunch of other things that brought me to the point where I'm at today. So again, that was a statement that I heard over a couple of years from Ruth, and it took me that long to really grab hold of it and own it. And now I live my life that way. Everybody that comes into my life is supposed to be there. Everybody that leaves my life is supposed to. I've never been in the wrong place. I mean, it may not be the most resourceful place, but I've never been in the wrong place. I've always gotten something out of it. So I'm always, as that anticipatorian, I'm always expecting something good. I'm always expecting a great lesson. I'm always expecting to move forward in the direction I'm going.
So what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing is that you accept adversity as a fact. And then at the same time, when people are faced sometimes with this, I don't know, what appears for some as a mountain of adversity that might interfere with their expression of their life vision, how do you deal with that? How do you personally deal? If you have this huge mountain of adversity that seems to appear in front of you, that you know is interfering with you fully expressing who you want to be and how you want to live your life vision, how do you deal with those issues?
Okay, one of my favorite lessons I learned from a 98-year-old patient of mine on her birthday. I said, Gita, teach me something, with all your experience. Okay, doc, 2 lessons. First one, I have a very short memory. I go, what? She goes, yeah, people tend to remember too many bad things and not enough good stuff. With adversity, it's like, this too shall pass. There's nothing that stays forever. So my grandmother used to say every day above ground is a good day. And I tend to believe that. So that adversity, and I've been in a lot of sticky situations. I've been, all sorts of things. And I always held in my back of my mind that there's a lesson in here. And when I learn the lesson, it's going to make me better. And that old saying is, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, I've got a lot of stuff that's made me a lot stronger.
That was a great song.
I decide what I leave behind and what I
whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. There's no doubt. I think somebody told me that was by Kelly Clarkson. It's a great song, but it's an actual fact of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
So as it relates, if we go back to lasting purpose, would you be willing to share with the audience?
Say that again.
I says, as it relates to lasting purpose and as it relates to your life vision, would you be willing to share what your present professional life vision is?
Well, my professional life vision is, and basically it's what we came up with for Life Force. It's about making sure that every man, woman, and child has the ability to either receive a chiropractic adjustment or a chiropractic education, whichever they prefer, or they can have both. And I really live like my goal is to see everybody in the world under chiropractic care. And so my vision is, I know I can't do that alone, and that's why I'm so involved with Life University, because every young student or even prospective student that I get to touch, it means that in a few years, I'm touching another 10,000 patients and another 10,000 patients. So over the last, my last 38 or 40 years in practice, I've adjusted millions of people through the chiropractors the students I've sent to chiropractic school and the students I've worked with in chiropractic school. So it's this never-ending life vision to change the world and make it a healthier place.
Wow, that is powerful. It's a beautiful one, and as you mentioned, it is so the mantra of Life Force 1000 at Life University that every man, woman, and child would have the opportunity to get checked and adjusted as necessary, and have access to a great chiropractic education if that's what they so choose. So, for you, Dr. J, what did it take to get clear on your life vision, and how did you get clear? And then again, sort of the end of that question would be, how can you suggest, or what would you suggest that others could do to get clear on their life vision? Because at the end of the day, you're clear on your life vision, and that drives you. Everyone needs to get clear on what their life vision is. As much as we want to bring them into our life vision, it's important for them to get clear on theirs. And if they choose to piggyback and be part of yours, well, that's wonderful. But what did it take for you to get clear? And what advice can you give someone who's not clear on what their life vision is as to what they could do to get clear and build their own?
I think the most important lesson that I learned for my beginning years in practice, I was always trying to have somebody else's practice. I was always trying to live up to somebody else's expectations, whether it was their volume, their income, whether they took their families or not. And it took me a good few years to finally say, you know what? This is me. This is the type of practice I want. This is my life. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, that's okay. So what? Next. As soon as I got comfortable with me being me and not trying to be a different practice and not trying to live up to other people's expectations, as soon as I accepted I was able to live my vision. I was able to choose what I want to do. I was able to, lecture all over the world, do the programs I want. And if you like me, invite me back. You didn't, that's okay. I'm not changing my spots anymore. This is my vision. I know what I'm doing. I'm clear on it. And every day I get up, and whether I go into the office, whether I'm at a leadership weekend, whether I'm at a Life Force program, whether I'm at Inner Winners, I live my vision in everything I do. When my kids were brought up, people would think of chiropractic as a profession. My family was brought up as chiropractic as a lifestyle. That old thing, if you cut me in half, chiropractic's inside. You cut an orange in half, you get orange juice, you don't get lemon juice. So I think choosing to be okay with who you are and then figure out how to improve from that point and not use anybody else as your benchmark, use yourself. And it's that level of acceptance. And I think that's the most important word for anybody. When you can accept yourself, that's key. Because once you accept yourself, then you can accept the gifts the universe has. Once you can accept the gifts the universe has, it makes it even easier to come from a sense of abundance and give out of it. So, cycling back, it's learning and being willing to accept yourself wherever you're at. And when you do that, that's the only thing you can do that gives you the opportunity to grow and grow into your vision, right? The vision should be much bigger than you are. Grow into your vision. Make a difference in the world by what you do, not by what everybody else does.
Oh, that was some powerful wisdom. There's one little couple words that you use in that, and I want to bring the people back to that. So first of all, the acceptance portion, as you said, is so important. But there's something that you said that I don't want to let slide by because I think it's really important. You said, so what next? Describe that so that the audience really understands what you mean by that statement.
Okay, one of the biggest fears that people have, they would say it's public speaking. It's not the fear of public speaking, it's more the fear of being rejected, a fear of what people are going to think about you.
Yes.
So for me, I don't care what people think about me. It's like, so what? Whatever you think about me, I don't care. And if it's something that's not good, next, somebody else will come in. It's like if, being in practice as many years as I have, there are patients that don't stay and don't like coming in or whatever. And I'll just say, okay, next. There's always going to be someone or something that's going to fill that void. So I don't get caught in the past. I don't get caught in holding on to things that aren't working. So that's so what? Next. Gives me the opportunity to move to the next thing. Whether it's a financial crisis or a practice crisis. Okay, got it. So what? Can I change it? Great. I can't. Next. And I just move on. It's that short memory thing. It's not holding on to the stuff that doesn't serve you.
So what I'm hearing you say is that focus on what is rather than what is not.
Definitely.
So in closing,
Think of
if you
how
had,
many.
I mean, you've shared some great nuggets of wisdom in this 25 or so minutes that we've been together. If you had one more piece of advice to give someone who is struggling to discover their life vision, to discover their truth, to discover a purpose, their purpose for living as a chiropractor, what would be another nugget of wisdom that you would share with the audience?
Well, with that last statement we were just talking about, it's give me 1 second. It's starting to think about, well, here, people, another great saying I love, people can't get enough of what they don't want. Now, what does that mean? The average person, when you ask them what they want, they'll tell you everything they don't want. And believing in the quantum field and what you put out, if you're putting out all the things you don't want, what are you going to get back?
More of it.
Everything you don't want. So if for you to be one of those 10% of the population that gets what they want, start thinking about what do you want. So when people ask you about dinner, don't say, well, I don't want the lobster and I don't want this. Don't say, okay, I'll have the steak. You know, when it comes to chiropractic, I don't care about the patients you don't want in your office. What's your perfect patient that you do want in your office? I don't care that you don't want to be poor. Maybe you want to be wealthy. So you always, always, always get what you focus on. So when you're looking for your vision, where's your focus? What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on changing the world or just making a few extra pennies? Right? Your vision should always be bigger than you are. Your vision should be so big that you're going to have generations behind you to fulfill it. All right? But as long as you're on that mission to get to that vision, you're going in the right direction. Right? You know, focus is in front of you. It's not hindsight. So you need to focus on what you want, where you're going, and then the universe will give you the how and the what to get it. It's
well,
your
Dr.
why.
J,
How
thank
big
you
is
so
your
much
why?
for
Why do
sharing
you want
your
to be?
valuable insights and wisdom with our audience today. And ladies and gentlemen listening in, you heard it on the Life Vision Project. Focus on what you want. That is the beginning of creating your life vision so you can get to live the life that you choose to live. Once again, Dr. J. Handt, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy afternoon today to be with us on the Life Vision Project.